Hello, and welcome to Barb Talks. Today, we're talking about what you got in trouble for as a kid. Because I think what you get in trouble for as a kid is what you're actually really, really good at. You wouldn't keep doing it and getting in trouble if it wasn't something you really wanted to be doing, right? Well, when I was a kid, I got in trouble for talking in class. I actually still have, I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah, you can kind of still see it. I have a callus on my finger from writing, "I will not talk in class." I wrote that so much, and I even learned a trick to it, a hack to it. Let me show you. A hack to it is that you could take two pencils and write, "I will not talk in class," and get 2 lines at a time. So I was very efficient, proving that I could write, "I won't talk in class," when I just kept needing to talk in class. Do I remember what I talked about? Not particularly, but I'm assuming I was helping the other students. As an adult, even as a teenager, I used my talking for class leadership. I was the vice president of the student body, and not that I did a lot of talking there, but I was able to use my communication to find out what the school needed and then be able to find ways to make that a reality. My adult life, I've been a radio broadcaster, I've been a voice talent, I've made money off of talking. So I got in trouble for it as a kid, and I made money at it about that. Like my husband, what did he get in trouble for as a kid? He tells me that it was for his active imagination. There's a story that he's told the kids where he was like, I don't know, in 3rd grade and was sitting on his chair, and he started imagining what it would be like if he was way up high on a tower looking way down at the people below, and he got in his little world of imagination and was like going, help me, holding onto his chair and looking down, and till his teacher interrupted him, Chris, is there something wrong? Looking around the room and everybody's staring at him because he was being a weirdo. So he was letting his active imagination. The other thing my husband got in trouble for was around the kitchen table. His mom found that she always had to use cloth napkins because anytime there was a paper napkin, he would just shred it up in little pieces and there'd be messes everywhere. So my husband is a very busy guy. He's got to keep his hands busy. He's got his active imagination. As an adult, he has used those skills. He's making his living right now. He was a radio broadcaster. He was a mobile DJ, was a production manager. He uses his hands all the time in producing audio. He uses his hands all the time now playing instruments. He plays the keyboard, he plays the melodica, he plays guitar, he plays all these different things. I have no idea why there's a thumbs up suddenly when I'm talking. So it's like there's so many things that he keeps himself busy. He likes to work, he likes to make a positive difference, he likes to play, he likes to goof around, and he's been able to make a living off that his whole life. He's been a great dad to our kids who are now adults. They remember all the play that went on in our house, because if you've got a guy who's gets in trouble for his imagination and squirreling around, and you got a gal that gets in trouble for her talking and planning, then you end up with just a zany little household of everybody doing creative things. I always told the kids, you need to raise yourself because your father and I are not equipped to be parents. And our kids turned out really good. My daughter all the time now is telling me, Mom, you raised us Montessori. And I'm going, I'm glad, because at the time people were going, you're a terrible mom. You let your kids just get away with everything. And I'm thinking, well, they're little people. The very things my kids were getting in trouble for when they were little were things that were going to benefit them when they became adults. Such as my daughter, she was a very science person, is how I look at it. One of the things that she did when she was probably, 3 or 4, we were laying on the couch visiting. She grabbed my hair and was yanking it. And I was like going, ow, that hurts. And she'd laugh and she'd do it again. And so what I said was, I go, do you want to know what that feels like? And she was going, so I took one little hair and pulled it out of her head. Well, then it was like, wow, started crying. And I go, that hurts, doesn't it? I go, let's not do that anymore. And she never did it. So it's kind of like, I guess that is Montessori, but I looked at it as, I didn't know what Montessori was back then. I just thought, these are little people, and these little people are going to grow up into an adult. And so why not actually talk to them about the realities of life? Had she pulled out my hair and I just spanked her and put her in a corner and said, bad kid, she might not have understood why she was a bad kid. But by asking her permission to allow me to do what she did to me, again, I didn't yank out a handful like she was doing to me. I just took out one hair. But it's like she was a science-based person. And we still have really open communication. She would tell me stories because she'd come home from school and express things to me like, Mom, this is what happened today. She came home and she goes, Mom, I was called a bitch today. And I go, oh, well, let's look up that word, because she didn't like the way it sounded. And I go, well, a bitch is a female dog. She goes, I'm not a female dog. And I go, exactly. I go, in our world, if somebody wants to be mean to somebody else, they will take a random word and just say it mean. And I said, such as, somebody could have said today, you're such a the. And then the would be the bad word. And so that got her mind going as a little kid. So I don't know if anybody ever called her a bitch again, but if they did, she could say, I'm not a female dog. The things that people get in trouble for when they're little kids are what they excel in as adults. So instead of punishing people for doing what they do well, I think it's important to find out what it is they're actually doing and channel it to a positive place. And so one of the things I needed to help my son understand is not to give away his most important things. As a little kid, if a friend was over, Toby would give them his very most precious toy. That's not going to be a good thing moving forward. When he's an adult, he's going to be giving away everything that's most important to him. I had to let him know that, no, you get to keep your Larry boy that you made out of Legos. That's your important toy. Hey, let's find a toy you're not playing with that you can give away. And again, the stuff he wasn't playing with, for the most part, was in great shape because he wasn't playing with it. Helping him to understand that you hold on to what you need. You give of your abundance. If you only have one coat, you don't give it away. You give away the 15 shirts you have, and you find the ones you're not wearing, and you give those away. So helping my son understand that you need to give of your abundance, and you need to keep the things you love close to your own heart. And the other thing my son got in trouble for was moving. He was very active kid. He was one of those kids that could stand on the trim board and look out the window. I mean, he was like crawling up the door jambs. I mean, he was like a monkey. He was just everywhere. He was very physically, his large motor skills were totally there. He would get in trouble for that at school, obviously, because you're supposed to sit quietly in your chair. If he was thirsty during the school in first, second grade, he would just crawl under all the chairs over to the drinking fountain and get a drink, and then crawl back under all the chairs. And of course, that was rather disrupting. We thought that it was because he was physically active, so we'd try to get him involved in sports, and he hated that. The only sport he liked was gymnastics, because he could move his body around and there wasn't a competition or a team thing. What we learned when he was in third grade was that it's actually his mind that was busy. His body was just following suit. So when his mind was busy, his body was busy. That's why he never understood it, why the teachers were always telling him to sit down and behave himself, because when he was sitting quietly, he wasn't listening. But he, again, when we figured that out and talked it out with him, in fact, we as parents were taken aside and told that, because he took some tests to find out how intelligent you are or whatever. There was actually, at the store behind that, there was a Lego playing class in his, I think it was third grade, second or third anyway. It was a class that extracurricular play Legos. And I'm going, oh, that's fun. He loves Legos. So I tried to sign him up at school. But they said, oh, only tag kids can go to the Lego playing class. And I thought, well, that's stupid. If somebody wants to play Legos, they should be able to go to the class. So I said, well, what does he need to get into tag? And they gave me all these forms. And it's like, is your kid so intelligent? And I go, I don't care how intelligent he is. He just wants to play Legos. So I go, here, Toby, fill out these tests. So Toby filled out the test. It turned out he was like 99th percent intelligence or something. Of course, by the time they got done with all their grading of tests, the Lego class was over. So he didn't get to do that. But we were also told by his third grade teacher that kids with his type of, I don't know if you want to call it special needs, special ability to see the big picture, whatever, kids with that are the most likely to drop out of school because they get bored and they think it's stupid because everyone keeps having them do the same thing repetitively in homework or whatever, and they just want to do it and get it done with and move on to the next thing. And school doesn't work that way for kids like my son. So I told him as a third grader, I just let him know what the teacher said. You're the most likely kid to drop out. So what are we going to do about that? If you drop out of high school, that, there's certain steps you need to have on a resume to be considered viable in the work world. So there's a game you have to play. How can we get you through high school so that you can say you graduated from high school? There were really good teachers too, because along the route there were teachers that respect that kind of student. And then Toby was, again, because he was also a kind-hearted person, he didn't take out his frustration on other people, and we all appreciated that. By him getting in trouble for being squirrely physically and giving too much of himself away, he is now just got a new job, and he's doing customer service for a B corporation. A B corporation is a benefits corporation, and the point of benefits corporations is to have people, planet, profit. Basically, you care about the whole. It's not just like, we're going to make as much money and hurt as many people as we can to get to the top. It's like, that's not how a B corporation works. So he's doing customer service for a B corporation. He's caring about other people. He's using his intellect to solve problems. In past jobs, he's done like fraud prevention. He has saved companies he's worked for thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars per incident, because he knows how to figure out the backside of computers and all these are things that he just figured out on his own. He didn't go to school for it because he ended up not going to college. And the reason why, he said, Mom, it costs too much money for the amount of benefit you get back at this point in time. He goes, maybe when you were a kid, it made sense. It doesn't make sense now. College is way too expensive for the amount of information and skills that it gives you to move on, unless you're going to be a surgeon or something. Instead of going out there trying to make $1 bazillion for himself, he's giving back, but he's also taking care of himself. He's learned those things. I'm really proud of both of my kids and the skills that they had in seed form as kids that now are blossoming as they're adults. And I would hope that this little Barb Talks might encourage you to think back to your childhood and what you got in trouble for and how that has been a seed to your success as an adult. If nobody ever encouraged you saying that what you got in trouble for had a seed of good, I hope that this is that encouragement that you need. Thanks for watching Barb Talks.